¿Qué tal, amigos? This is the JMO podcast, and I'm very excited on this first premiere episode. That is right. In this podcast, we're going to explore everything that has to do with sports, the culture, the field, the training, and the mentality, and everything around this thing that binds us together. I am your host, Marcelino Ortiz, and we kick off the show with football. Whatever you call it, calcio, football, soccer, we are going to talk about it. We're going to break it down, and we're going to prepare for the World Cup. That is right. The next 6 months are going to be crucial for the development of soccer in the US, and that is why we are here with the one and only Nick C. Nick C is a renowned journalist. He is not only a keen political advisor and analyst, a journalist, but also a passionate fan of football. From a long, long time, I've been working with Nick, covering football, and he has traveled all around the world, bringing a special look into the sport. Here with us is Nick C. How are you, my friend?
Hey, man, it's a pretty random mix of things when I hear someone else describe me. I'm good. I'm good, brother. There's so much to be excited about regarding football. Maybe not so much the politics side, but when it comes to soccer, I'm pumped. There's so much to look forward to, and man, what a time! What a time, right? I mean, from the World Cup coming up to just the amazing club soccer being played all over the place. The 6,000 different tournaments we have going on at any given point. It's a lot. It's great. I'm pumped.
It is a great time to be a fan of football, my friend Nick. Now, let's start at the beginning of this. You have been, connected to the world of football for a long, long time. You're a native Angelino. Let's go back to that place where your fandom began, and as many here in the U.S., also the expansion of soccer as one of the mainstream sports.
When I think about my early exposure to soccer, it was me playing the game, getting enrolled at an early age, the son of European parents, Serbian parents. That was the sport to put your kid in. So there was no baseball, there was no basketball. I'm not tall enough for that one, but it was soccer. And that was it for me. It was just playing the game. And then, Nintendo 64, FIFA 98, that like, woohoo, Blur song introduction, man. And then, it just grew from there. I naturally gravitated towards the teams that my family loved back in Europe, which was FK Partizan out of Belgrade, Serbia. That's my dad's squad. And then I, as you said, as an Angelino growing up in this city, became a Galaxy fan. That was really the only squad at the time. So if they're judging me for not being an LAFC fan, I mean, Galaxy was the way to go. And it just kind of grew from there. I continued playing always. First and foremost was about the game. I was never necessarily at a young age a diehard fan. That came later on, as I grew up and I started to watch more. But it was always about playing. I was just such an energetic kid, and I just loved being on the field. And there was just, no feeling like that, no excitement, quite like when you're playing club as a young kid.
Tell me a little bit of how was your club career, your high school career. Tell me how, that experience that is, for me, one of the most important periods in one's life when you are so involved in team sports and you're competing and you create that sense of community and belonging. I think that's what, take us through life as like lifelong fans.
Yeah. I mean, I think I was 4 when they first signed me up. Local park down the street, AYSO. For anyone who doesn't know, is basically just like kind of anyone can sign up. It's like the open league. It's not like club. There's no tryouts. It's for the community. It's for kids to be active. It's to introduce kids into the game as young as 4. So that's how it started for me. Park down the street, quite literally, the community league. And then from there, it grew. And then I got into club around middle school in Santa Monica. This club called PCSC, Pacific Coast Soccer Club. I was playing forward, center forward. And then I bounced around to different clubs, local clubs in Culver City, here and there. Never played high school. Let's just say I wasn't a scholastic kid. And school and we had a complicated relationship. So all of my extracurricular activities were not tied to school, never played there. Moved on to college. I went to university in Italy and tried out for the team there, made the team. Played a few games, didn't end up playing just because I just got distracted by life and ladies and everything that comes with moving to Italy as a young guy, And so my career as a player was short-lived. I could run fast, technically awful. I was just really fast. So always the only güero on the team. And I think that kind of opened me up, in LA on these clubs to different cultures, particularly Latinos, but everyone else, because we do have literally everything in this city. And so I thank the game for that. But then there is the cultural aspects, something you only get in a city in LA, like, I don't know, you got like Bangladeshi food and pupusas on the same street in LA. And that kind of reflects, the kind of people who are playing the game. Because who is playing this game primarily in LA, in the US? It's usually foreigners, first generation people, kind of like me, and it's a little bit of everything. And that's what I think, in my opinion, makes the game really special. So I have a lot more to thank soccer for than just my personal skills, because they weren't that great. I'm going to be honest. But they did call me Speedy Gonzechirich because I was the only white guy on the team, and all I could do was just run really fast. And so they put me center forward.
Oh my God.
Yeah, man.
That is amazing because for me, football is another language, right? When you get into the pitch, you don't even have to speak the same language. Everybody just understands the flow, the linguistics of the game, the punctuation, and the rhythm of it. I love it so much. And it's one of the things that you and I, we bonded over, right? Like our ability to just find the beauty on every culture and find the beauty in everything that is foreign to us. Now, let's talk about your fandom of Galaxy. When you come to be fan of one of the most famous franchises, one of the most successful ones in MLS, as of late, not so much, but we'll talk about that later. Tell me the early years of fandom here in LA when, everything was being built around this team and brought some of the most quintessential players to this league like Beckham, and after that so many more. But that was the inflection point, and I think you had a front row seat to the whole thing. Talk to me about it.
Literally, the LA Galaxy were a starting squad. The league was starting when I was a kid, right? Like the MLS was like up and coming. There was a lot of excitement around the Galaxy, big names before Beckham, obviously. Beckham, I think, came like 2006 or 7 or something. But before Beckham, it was the Cobi Jones, it was the Cienfuegos, it was Campos, it was Lee, and did Donovan also a little later on. But those names, Cobi Jones was like my hero. I think I saw him once at the 3rd Street Promenade in Santa Monica, and I was like shaking. I was like too shy to go up to him. But I have a very cool memory of being at the Rose Bowl. And I don't know why this one image stuck with me, but I was with my mom and dad, or I don't even remember who. I was a little kid. I was maybe 6 or 7 years old, and I just remember kind of Cobi Jones coming down the right side and giving a cross over into the center, and that stuck with me. And Rose Bowl games were regular for me. And then when you're a kid and you're playing club, they always want to treat you. They take you to a game every now and then. I think Galaxy will give tickets to like local club teams so the kids can come and watch for free and stuff like that. So Galaxy, huge part of me as a kid here growing up in LA, because that was the only squad, as I said. There were no other, like, there was no derby. There was nothing like that. San Jose, I guess, Earthquakes was like the derby, I guess, when there was so few teams in the MLS. But yeah, I mean, it just started. It was just Galaxy all the way. I had this like fake Galaxy jersey my mom got me from the swamp meet that was like with this crazy thick silk, those like silk jerseys from the 90s. Like, why was anyone playing in silk? I don't know, but
Oh my God.
yeah.
Now we're gonna see in a few months a whole new momentum for the city when it comes, fans from all around the world, and that will expand throughout the country. But I want to, set a stage of how the early fandom has really prepare us for this moment, if you will, Nick. There has been many instances where Los Angeles has been a sporting city, not necessarily a soccer city, but of all the cities, I think it is one that has the deepest tradition. So what are some of the things that you remember growing up that kind of now looking back at them, they were the seeds of what we're looking at right now?
When I look back and I think back, I think there's always been a perpetual push in this city to grow the sport. And that's where we've been, at least in my whole lifetime. There's been no greatness to defend. Manchester United right now is fighting for their honor. They're fighting for their reputation, right? They're trying to make a name for themselves. They're trying not to be embarrassed. There's a lot of squads like that. We never had that issue. This has always been about proving ourselves that we can do it from day one. Ever since I was a kid, I remember the Galaxy being like, "Oh, we got Beckham now. it's about to go down. Oh, we got Ibrahimovic did. Oh, it's about to go down. It's always been like, we're taking this to the next level. We're taking this to the next level. And like that history just isn't there here. So like we have literally in my entire lifetime been building up to this moment step by step by step. It shows on the club level, the kind of players that we're getting. And then it shows on the national team as well, which we'll get to later on. But it's like, I feel like it's just been a steady step by step, sometimes step backwards, sometimes steps forward, but it's been like this really slow creeping towards making a name for ourselves. And I hope that's what this World Cup's going to do. I hope it will.
So this makes me think of two, topics that I want to touch upon. And one is, what is, if there is one, the U.S. soccer identity? You mentioned these players, Cobi Jones, Donovan, and after them, there were many to list and be fair. But who, for you, represent what is the U.S. soccer identity? And what is your take on the development of soccer players now in the global stage? We are talking about the American player back in the time of our, Lalas, Kobe Jones, that national team that competed and made the U.S. Team relevant in the world stage for the first time in many, many decades. And now the evolution of the way to superstars like Pulisic. What is the, for you, what is the U.S. soccer identity and the development of the U.S. soccer in the global stage?
Yeah. Let's go in order. That first question, that's a hard one to answer because that's been something that has been fluid and constantly changing. But there is, I think, one through line, one thread through it, and that's kind of like to add to your Lalas, Kobe Jones, Donovan list, like Tim Howard, quiet, strong, solid, not flashy, not spicy, get the job done. The game in general was more simple, less technical, more physical back in those days. So in a way, it was a squad of their time. But the U.S. never had these flashy players. We didn't have the Ronaldinhos or any Ronaldos or Messis or even anyone, not even on that level, but I mean like in that style of flashiness, right? Balotellis, the guys that make a scene on, we just never had that. It was shut your mouth play. We came very American and like kind of milquetoast about it. And then you jump to now and it's different. It's a different story. We got the majority of our squad playing in Europe. You got breakout names, like Pulisic, who's killing it over in Italy, top goal scorer over in Italy. Like, it's just not the same thing anymore. Huh?
Ricardo Pepi is also right now one of the hottest players in the world. The U.S. has at least 5 players at the moment that are, killing in their leagues.
Yeah. Right? Case in point. So it's a different thing now. Now, what does that say about our domestic kind of ability to build these players up? What does it say about our domestic league that everybody, isn't playing in the MLS? Like our squad is majority European now, in terms of their club soccer. What does that say? So let me throw it to you, Ma. So what does that say about the way that we're developing our players and our domestic league in general?
I think that what we are experiencing is a system that is just not clear or on how to capitalize on how many players are being produced in the US. We are finally sending many of them at a very young age to many, many developing leagues around the world, which I think is a big it's a big difference with what, let's say, the neighbor to the south, Mexico, does, right? Like we see the case with Gilberto Mora that is being kept in the Mexican league as long as possible for development. Whereas in Argentina and now in the US, by 14, 15 years old, they are already shipping by the dozens every year players to the main team so they can learn the European way. So now you have 2 paths, which I think is one of the big dilemmas that the US is going to have. On one hand, you have your traditional pipeline, AYSO, club soccer, your ECNLs, your GAs, and then your college, and then the draft, right? But now we see that the development of MLS Next and the MLS Academies has thrown all of that in disarray, because if you play MLS Next, you cannot play collegiate, or you can even play high school, you can even play club. You are already in the professional tracks, like it is in the rest of the world. In the rest of the world, you go and enlist in the academy for a professional team, and that's your life. And you might be homeschooled, but that is your priority. Here, we see a US that is going to reckon with the reality that the global business model has to take over the country in order for the game to grow and catch up to the rest of the world. That will shape the US identity because, as you said before, all homegrowns, but the homegrowns are still there. I have Diego Luna in mind as a player that shows a domestic homegrown player that will be starting in the World Cup and will be one of the standout players. My words, like you said, I'll I'll have the receipts in a few months. But Diego Luna is a good example of what I think is the true homegrown US soccer identity. A Mexican American that chooses to represent the US, although he was brought up in a Mexican household that was very much so fans of the Mexican team. And he was always feeling the colors of this country, the blue and the red. And I think that the fact that he has always played in the MLS and showing that he has the resilience, technical ability, and the mentality to be the best in that position, competing with the European players. I think that that's for me what the US should aspire, and that's a lot of room for a development of players right there. Now, Nick, that brings us to the US national team.
Not just US.
Representing Cali. That's right. That's right. And the Southern California, for me, the hotbed of soccer. Now, Nick, let's talk about the national team because what they have in front of them is the opportunity to make soccer one of the mainstream sports in the US. Right now, it sits around the fourth place, is gaining popularity, is gaining ground with basketball, tying almost there. Some of the games actually have more viewership than basketball big games. Uh, what does the US national team needs to achieve in this World Cup at least for the people to be involved moving forward?
You got a lot of basketball fans, hockey fans, football fans who are watching, and they're going to be watching the US play. They're going to be watching Paraguay versus Azerbaijan, right? They're going to be watching and only engaged when the US men's national team is playing. And so what that means is essentially you're going to have to show out for these passive fans, these passive viewers who are here because the event's here, but otherwise they could care less about soccer. And the only reason they care is because the US is playing. So we need to make it out of the knockout rounds, which I think is very possible. And are the US men's national team like a dark horse that I think can go all the way? I mean, probably not. There's some advantages now. Pochettino and being a host nation, there's a lot that's going to come with it. This is a different breed of US men's national team squad with Pulisic and all the others, but they just need to get out of that knockout stage and get to the quarterfinals, baby. Make it competitive, get it exciting, get people pumped for the USA, saying that they can do it, and we've gotten close before, but not quite there. And I think we really have a chance this time around. And I think that's what it's going to take. It's a simple answer. It's going to take success from the US men's national team squad to get people hyped. These are passive fans who like football, who like soccer, who like basketball, whatever it is. And now they're just watching because it's on TV, it's on ESPN, it's on whoever's going to be showing it. It's going to be in the bars, right? It's like the Olympics. I don't watch downhill slalom skiing just when I'm bored, but when it's on in the Olympics, I'm pumped. I'm whoa.
You do so much traveling around the world to cover soccer for Latin Nation Football Club. What is the main difference of how soccer is experienced abroad and in the US?
To begin with, starting with the fans, it's more of an identity. If you are a supporter of, I don't know, Roma versus Lazio, there's a difference. It says something about you. Yeah, right. You apply that to any team in Europe or in South America, Latin America. It's part of your identity. It's a part of a lineage. I love a certain team because my father loved it, and then my grandma. You go back. We don't have that kind of history here in this country. Our league was born in the 90s. It's younger than I am. So I can't say that, there's this lineage and it is part of my identity, right? And so that would probably be the biggest thing and the most important thing. It's deeper than the game. It's deeper than the sport, right? It's who you are. It's where you're from. It's primal. It's tribal.
Let me ask you, when you spend so much time in Italy and you have a good understanding of of how the game is lived there, is it surprising to you that Pulisic is having so much success
It
there?
speaks to two things at once. It speaks to a dip in domestic talent in Italy, and that reflects in the national team. Italy's struggling right now in the front. They don't have like a breakout striker. It's just like it's like a big mix of things. So like Italy, I think is kind of going through like a football like ice age right now. And then that's corresponding with like an absolute megastar from the US side, at least from our standards. So it's like two things converging at once. It's like you have this amazing height of American talent playing in Europe, and there's sort of this like slump in Italian football. I don't want to minimize Italian football. I mean, Inter was one of the best squads in the Champions League last year, but let's be honest, they're just not where they were before. And so things have changed. And so, yeah, I think it's two things kind of happening at once.
Now, Pulisic has a big responsibility. He's right now, he seems like he has it under control. He has been under the eye of the public here in the US. If he comes, if he doesn't come to the national call-ups in this run up to the World Cup. Now, do you expect Pulisic to really take the leadership that is needed to take the US where we all expect them to reach at least quarterfinals in this World Cup?
A lot of pressure, man. That's a lot of pressure on one guy. You know what I mean? We have a deep roster. If you want to get it that far, it's not going to take one breakout star. It's going to take the whole squad. So what he has to do is show out and do what he's been doing on the club level, but then be more than that. He's got to be a leader. He's got to lead, and he's got big shoes to fill. I mean, household names like Landon, Donovan, Tim Howard as well, but more so Landon, Donovan. I think it just pertains more to the kind of player Pulisic is, guards where he plays on the pitch, but just in terms of like leading the squad. So it's going to take, it's going to be a big test, man. This is his World Cup to show that like he is going to be up there, and he's going to be not just some flashy player who did great in Europe and really became the first, possibly, I think he's on his way to becoming the first international like star, who I think gets not as much credit as he should get because he's American. If his name was Paulinho or something, I think people would praise him a lot more. But he's gotta prove that he's not only fancy with the feet, but a good leader too. So that's what it's gonna take.
There's gonna be a hard task for Pulisic. He's under a lot of pressure, like you mentioned. Now, Nick, give me some other names of key players that you think are gonna make the difference. I'm gonna throw some at you. McKinney, I think is gonna be critical. Tyler Adams, I think is gonna be critical. Ricardo Pepi, like we said, Diego Luna, also a big player. But tell me, which are some of the names that maybe people are not necessarily expecting that you think they're gonna have an impact in the World Cup?
Robinson, Anthony Robinson for sure. Chris Richards, Malik Tillman. I think there's so much optimism. There's so much to be optimistic for. So I think your list is perfect. I would just add those few.
Choosing the starting 11 out of all those names, Nick, is going to be a hard task. And there is one person behind it, Pochettino, a name that has been questioned, a name that has been doubted. And as of late, the latest result, it was a confirmation that he might be onto something. Defeating Uruguay 5-0 is no joke, Nick. What are your opinion early on the work of Pochettino? I know, but what are your expectations? And has he fulfilled the promise already?
I think when you said he's on to something, I think that was reflective of the early panic that a lot of fans had when we just weren't showing out in these friendlies, and we were all starting to jump to conclusions. But there was also some key players missing. Pulisic obviously wasn't playing in those earlier matches or those earlier tournaments, which also led to a lot of scrutiny. So it wasn't all Poch, but Poch was trying to kind of build a squad not around Pulisic, but something that can kind of add to Pulisic and create something deeper than just one star player, like I said. So yes, I think Pochman, I think we're all behind him now, or at least I am. I feel like this is a coach who kind of has built teams around this collective athletic discipline, and I think that's what the squad needs. So yeah, he's got my backing for sure. I think he has, the deeper player pool to work with, and he's going to bring his background and his really technical skills to things, and especially with this leaning on athleticism specifically that we definitely have. I think it's going to be great for Poch if things go well, and if we all show out. I'm confident in him right now.
For me, Nick, early assessment of his work is that he has achieved one very important element, that previous coaches has not. I think that right now he has a locker room that is behind his ideas, a locker room that is past all the drama that happened with people outside of the team, with parents of players that are bickering and fighting about playtime. Like if this is, like you said, club soccer, maybe another heritage of the U.S. youth development system. But the reality is that Poch has a synergy going on with the MLS players, the European players. Like you said, everybody feeling that they have a chance, that this is not Pulisic show and they're just the supporting cast. Now, let me ask you, Pochettino, does he deserves more time in behind this team, even though, like, no matter what are the results that he obtains during the World Cup? Do you believe that he deserves a whole other cycle to really, cement this mentality, cement this culture in the national team?
Definitely. I'm not a big fan of giving someone a shine then booting them out right away, which we see so often in the sport. If there's something that's there that we see is working, but we don't get the result that we wanted, it's going to be a disappointment. But in my opinion, not a reason to give him the boot and kick him out of the building. I think we need to build a team around, yes, a center figure, a coach who becomes synonymous with the team, not a revolving door of, like, we need to be guided. We have the player pool, we have the talent now, and I think with a single coach who has time, breathing room to work with them, I think it can be great.
This is going to be an exciting time for the U.S. national team. I believe that they finally found a coach that can make the most of the roster, and he's going to have tall competition, Nick. But now we have to move, my friend, into one of my favorite parts of the show. Are you ready for this?
I don't know what it is, but I'm ready.
My friend, this is rapid fire. Let me pull my questions here real quick, and we're going to go down the list. I'm going to ask you a few questions, and then you're going to ask me some questions. I think you have that on your end. Let me break this down for you, Nick. Are you ready? This is quick, my friend. A U.S. national team player that you'll pay money to watch right now.
Woo, there's a few of them, but obviously Pulisic, man. He's the closest thing the U.S. has to a true game tilter. He's the guy.
Who is the most underrated American player in the pool?
Oof. Anthony Robinson, man. Week to week, he's like one of the most reliable two-way fullbacks the U.S. That I've ever seen, at least in my lifetime. Mr. Robinson, for sure.
Who will you trust to DJ in the World Cup locker room so that the team has the vibes where they need to be?
McKinney, big energy, big personality. He's the guy most likely, probably, to keep the room going with the energy. So, yeah.
A World Cup host city that is not in the mix, and we are going to miss it.
Oof. For better, for worse, I would say New Orleans. Maybe there's a reason that you don't want to give it to New Orleans, but I would say we need to get rowdy. We need to get crazy. New Orleans people peeing in the street, drinking, jumping off balconies. That's what we need. We need more of that in the game.
Now, this is a loaded question, Nick.
Okay.
What MLS team has the best supporting group?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm going to go with, and look, this is from an LA Galaxy fan. I'm going to go with Portland Timbers, man. They're creative. They're fun. It's a good atmosphere.
Excellent. Excellent, Nick. Now, MLS Derby or Liga MX Clásico?
Oh, look, nothing gets me excited like a LAFC LA Galaxy matchup head to head. The LA El Tráfico. I got to say it just because, look, this is my city. This is where I'm from. This is what I grew up around. If I grew up in Mexico City, I'd have a different answer. But look, I love El Tráfico.
Now, what is most iconic? Jorge Campos jerseys or Cobi Jones braids?
Oh, bro, that's a tough one. All right. Dude, the jerseys. Oh, my God. Campos jerseys, bro. He's dressed in like an oversized parakeet day in, day out, looking fresh. Icon. A fashion icon on the pitch, bro. Those long sleeve, short sleeve. Have you ever seen someone wear long, short sleeve shirts? I haven't, but he's wearing like quadruple XL short sleeve shirts that are long sleeve. Fashion icon, without a doubt. But the braids, yo, Cobi Jones got the braids, but yeah.
Now, following up, what is the first jersey that you ever got?
Ooh, It was a Lazio Siemens Mobile, like 1990s jersey. Yeah.
Now, tell me, who is the non-soccer celebrity that needs to be the hype coach for the U.S. national team?
Oh, that's a good question. The Rock, maybe? That'd be pretty cool.
The Rock, I love that.
Intimidate people from the sideline.
Now, which player will you not trust to keep your phone for 10 minutes?
Oh, that's a good question. Let's go with Tim Weah. Not because I think he would do anything wrong. I don't think he's a thief, but I feel like he'd get distracted, wander off, and then probably lose my phone or something, and like not know where my phone is anymore. So yeah, Tim Weah.
Well, my friend, now we are going to do side B of this game. The producers have give Nick time and some hints on the questions that he's going to prepare for me. So I don't know what he's going to ask. Nick, hit me with it. I'm ready to go.
All right, we've been talking about the U.S. men's national team. We're gonna hit you with this one. If you could bring back one retired American player for 2026, who are you calling up?
I will have to say that I'll bring back no other than Alexis Lalas. I think that the U.S. team needs that grit. They need that that aggression in the back. They need to have that quarterback that says, you know what, I got you, no matter what. I remember the duels that he had with the Mexican team, and that is what the U.S. needs right now. I see.
And maybe he could come with that denim jersey he used to rock, bro. Remember the U.S. men's like denim? We had some banger jerseys back in the day. All right, give me a stadium, any stadium that gives you goosebumps when it's full.
El Azteca. No doubt about it. My first World Cup, 1986, I went there, and it was crazy to experience over 100,000 people cheering for the Mexican team. Ever since, I've been chasing that high in every stadium. There's others that I also love, like in Ciudad Universitaria de mis Pumas and BMO, but El Azteca without that.
Speaking of which, give me one tradition from Liga MX that we could give to the MLS.
Shit talking. I think there's not enough shit talking between MLS fandom. They're very respectful. Everything is very kumbaya. Oh, we're growing the league together. In Mexico, you wouldn't see America con Pumas hanging out and say, oh, you guys did a great chance today, my bro. No, none of that, my friend.
Hey, we do a little bit of that on the show when we're talking about Galaxy and LAFC. But yeah, you're right. We need it more league wide. We need to get angrier. Maybe lower the price of beer at the stadium would help that. I don't know.
Right? A little más bélicos que se pongan.
That's why New Orleans needs a team. I feel like they would talk shit. All right. Give me the boldest prediction you're willing to say on camera about the U.S. men's national team World Cup run. Call it right here, right now.
They're going to win their 3 stage group games.
Oh, okay. I can see that happening. We got a good group. As good as you can get, right?
Right. If you're going to have a group that makes it happen, that's the one.
For sure. Favorite World Cup song of all time?
What is Shakira's song? Wiki Waka. Yeah, This is Africa. Da, 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 da. I like that one. Yeah,
that was a good one. And what I mentioned earlier, the Blur song from the '98 World Cup.
If you're a FIFA fan,
that was like the official song of the actual tournament, and then they used it in the game. I guess like copyrights and things worked way different back in the late 90s. All right. Moving on here. If the U.S. men's national team were a movie genre, what genre would they be right now?
Romantic comedy between Pulisic and Pochettino. Like they like each other, but they don't. And maybe they're going to get back together and they're going to win the World Cup. Who knows?
Maybe it'll be like a nice fairy tale ending, man. Okay. Right. And then the comedy, I won't ask why you think it's a comedy. We'll move on. Okay. We got a few more. A soccer superstition you secretly believe in, even if it makes no sense. You got any superstitions you're into, Madison?
If you win a game, you need to use the same socks without washing them until you lose. Maybe you wear an inner layer of socks that is clean, but you know, that's medias, the outside socks, they stay dirty until you lose, because that's where the mojo is.
All right, so what is one tactical shift you think the U.S. has to make before 2026, before the World Cup? What do we need to tune?
Let Diego Luna have the ball and fight that midfield, become the general of the midfield. They are overloading the job of the outside backs. They are working too hard on getting that ball, building out the back, making it through the flanks and trying to cross it. They don't have a top box killer. Es a rematador de área chica. So I believe that they need to be more central in the central channel and dominate with the strong players like Diego Luna and Robinson and Pulisic. If he plays like as a false nine, I think they have a chance.
Beautifully said. All right. We got just a few more here. Choose one U.S. men's national team player to cook you dinner. And what do you think that they would make you?
Ooh, I'll have to go with Diego Luna and tamales for Navidad.
Woo! Solid choice. Can't lose with tamales. Okay. Now, here's a tricky one. This is a bonus one, all right? Describe this beautiful game to an extraterrestrial who just came to our planet in one sentence. You got one sentence to explain this sport to an alien. How do you explain it? There's a lot to fit into one sentence, so this is a tough one.
Two groups of 11 fight each other for eternal glory.
Eternal glory it is. Boom, we get it. All right, that's our rapid fire.
Gracias, Nick. And now we move to the final round, the bonus round, and this is called Who Said It, Pundit or Player, where Nick C is going to read me few quotes, and I have to decide if this was said by a professional player, a famous pundit on TV, or Nick C himself, my friend. So, Nick, hit me with it.
All right. This one is very poetic. It's profound. It's deep. It's philosophical. We lost because we didn't win. Was that yours truly, Mr. Cristiano Ronaldo, or Ted Lasso? Who said it, Marcy?
I'm going to have to go with Ted Lasso.
Wow. You are forgiven for thinking that, but it was actually CR7, my friend. Cristiano Ronaldo famously said, "We lost because we didn't win." I think he was maybe in a post-game interview and maybe had a loss for ideas or thoughts, or I don't know. Maybe
it was empty for the loss.
Maybe we're just not smart enough to understand what he's trying to say here. Maybe we got to be on his level. Okay. Two things can be true at the same time. Who said that? Was it Johan Cruyff? Was it Pele? Or was it yours truly, Nick Z?
I have to go with yours truly, Nick C, a signature phrase in Latin Nation Football Club.
That's right. That was me. I say it all the time, so I can't pinpoint the exact moment when I did say that. But hey, when you're a pundit and you're on TV,
it works.
When you don't want to be wrong, you just say two things can be true at the same time. All right.
Well, they can.
They definitely can. You could love the LA Galaxy. They can be from LA and they can be at Carson at the same time. Okay. It's hard to beat somebody that never gives up. Megan Rapinoe, Nick Z, or Andres Cantor. It's hard to beat somebody that never gives up.
I'm going to go with Megan Rapinoe.
All right. Well, you're not wrong. It's Megan Rapinoe. She said it's hard to beat somebody that never gives up, and she is not wrong about that.
He was probably talking about Hope Solo. Oh, my good friend Nick, this has been a great talk. Now let's have, a final thought moment. Let's wrap it up. What are your expectations of the U.S. national team coming in the 2026 World Cup and also for the city of Los Angeles?
Ooh, really good question. I've never been this optimistic in my life about the U.S. men's national team going into a World Cup. So I have high expectations. Whether that's going to be shattered and I'm going to be left with a broken heart, I don't care. But right now, my hopes are flying high, and I think we're going to do really well. Calling it right now, quarterfinals, at least. At least I hope so. Now, bigger picture, what does this mean for the city? This gets a little bit more personal for me. I got to be honest with you. This city I've watched struggle in a lot of ways since COVID in particular. People don't always feel safe all the time in our parks. And where else should football be played and developed And where else should that joy be spread than in our parks? And I think that I would hope that the city can do a little bit better. We can clean things up a little moving into this World Cup and be a welcoming city. And not only that, because that would be superficial. I want that change to last longer, and I want to see our parks become a safe haven and a place where kids can enjoy and play carefree, just like I did growing up. And I know it's possible because I did that when I was a young guy. Spent 3 decades of my life, the first 3 decades of my life in this city, and it was that way. This is something new, and I think we can get through it as Angelinos all together. And I'm excited for that to happen. I hope that this tournament will sort of be that catalyst to get that moving in that right direction.
It has to be neat because the World Cup needs to have an important legacy for the city that outlasts the tournament. It's not only the party, but it's also making sure that the World Cup create the type of foundational love for the game that even city officials decide that it's important to fix the access to the sport, to allow kids to feel safe in parks and go out and play on their own, pateando la pelota any given day. My friend Nick, as always, a pleasure having you here on the very first episode of the JMO podcast. Name to be decided. We might change it, we might not. Who cares? But at the time, right now, we are happy to have you on this that promised to be one of the most fun and relevant sport podcasts out there starting in 2026. My friends, this is the end. I am your host, Marcelino Ortiz, and I'll see you next time.